This is gonna be an interesting video in regards to like how children that are growing up with influencers slash content creators slash OnlyFans people.
Yes, here we are again together, crying inside.
Also, it's my first time seeing this content creators, my first video from them. I don't know what to expect, but hey, we're gonna hit it off on a good note if it keeps like that. We're crying on the inside, let's go!
Hi, my name is Sydney. Welcome back to hell.
Hi,
and
Sydney!
As usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by me and my new company, Lions Tea Exchange, which if you haven't
let's
checked out,
go!
you definitely should, because
I
the
love
tea
tea.
is great and you'll love it, and it's linked
I love
in the
tea.
description box. Now, if you have been here for any length of time orbiting this planet of insanity and sadness, you will already be aware that I have covered the topic of OnlyFans a bunch on this channel. But what I have never discussed, at least in detail, is the effect that this is having and potentially going to have going forward on children whose parents make adult content. Because I'm sure this issue is going to be really fun for everyone going forward.
Oh yeah, I kind of wait for all the your mom jokes where they actually take out proof of it. Or your dad jokes where they also take out proof. Oof. To be fair, this is a topic I personally have never really thought or considered about. So it's very interesting to listen about it.
As OnlyFans continues to gain traction and popularity, as more and more women seem to view this platform as a legitimate means of making a decent income, it seems that there will inevitably be consequences for families. Now, what specifically made me want to talk about this issue was a post I saw on Reddit not too long ago. Not counting for the fact that Reddit is the internet's butt. A woman asked the subreddit, am I the a-hole, if she is in fact the a-hole for continuing to stream and post content on OnlyFans, Kick, and Twitch while her son is being bullied for it. Yeah. Probably. In the post, the mother says that she is a single parent who has been using platforms like OnlyFans and Twitch for income, netting way more than she's ever earned in any other job. However, despite the financial payoff, her 14-year-old son told her he is being teased by his classmates because of his mother's content, leaving him feeling humiliated and alone. The woman finished her post by writing, I'm torn between the need to maintain our financial security and the negative effects my career is having on my son. I strive to be a good mother and provider, but I'm questioning if I'm failing him in other ways. Am I the a-hole for continuing this work despite the emotional cost it's having on my son?
That's a loaded question and topic right there. I mean, clearly the person is looking for reassurance, and the way they phrase that, they already know that they're doing damage. They're aware of the effect that it's having. They're just feeling guilty about it. So the way it's worded already kind of tells you the answer that they personally know in their heart. But thinking about it as a problem, whichever choice they choose, depending, right? Like if they're the sole provider, as they said they are, then it's like, if you're not going to be able to get another job and earn money in any other way, then that's going to potentially fuck them up. But if you keep doing it, they're gonna need therapy probably for it. So you're fucking them up either way. It's great. Yeah, kids are gonna make fun of them afterwards because they're poor and they're not dressing properly, and they're gonna miss out on trips because they can't afford it. And the damage is also done at that point too. It's a really shitty situation that they're in that probably they did not think about when they got into it. I would say that they are definitely striving to be a good mother and provider, as they said there.
Ma'am, is the answer not obvious in the way that you have articulated this? Can you not read the room?
I mean, she literally answered her own question by asking. It is literally worded in a way that says, I am the asshole. They literally worded it. Like, I can understand the struggles of being a single parent. I can understand the problems of it. But if it's causing your son the stress, you should like probably find a way to help them with that.
Comments reacting to this post were very divided, with people saying that she is the a-hole because she's contributing to the emotional anguish of her child, and it's absurd that she's surprised by this at all, while others suggested that it's better to be financially stable, even if the job is embarrassing for her son. Yes, I tend to agree that living in a cardboard box is probably not the go. But neither is letting your kid get emotionally beaten to a pulp because you want to take your clothes off on the internet for $15 a month. Now, a short time later, the mother posted an update. After a long discussion with her son about his feelings, the woman said that she has decided to disable her OnlyFans and will move away from inappropriate content completely. To many people, this probably seems to be the most obvious solution to the problem. And even though the damage might already be done because the images and content are already out there, at least the mother is listening to her child and taking action. But the interesting thing here is that the reaction of this mother in this particular case doesn't actually seem to be the norm. And I know what you're probably thinking here, but Sydney, this is just you basing this off of a bunch of anecdotes that you found around the internet. And you would be right, because it's not like we have a bunch of statistics about mothers deleting their not safe for work content off the internet because it made their child sad. Although with how things are progressing and given enough time, I don't think we're too far off.
Like, as I said, that mother in particular seemed like they already knew the answer. They were literally looking for an actual conversation, which is hard to have on the internet nowadays. But it's also a very weird gray area and a very, very weird situation that you are in as a person, because it's another circular problem that you are facing when it comes to online stuff, right? A lot of people tell you that you're empowering yourself, that this is the way it should be. And a lot of cultures, being sexy is celebrated, and in other cultures it is something to be ashamed of. And it is one of those situations where you're gonna get a lot of people that look at it from a very black or white lens, right? Like there is no gray area, there's no in between, there's no circumstance, there's no why are you doing something, there's judgment. There's a lot of judgment.
That revelation makes me terribly unhappy. Most of the stories that I've read,
I agree.
the women particularly who I have listened to, and the other anecdotes that I have collected from around the internet seem to have one very common thread. And that is, these children are being bullied relentlessly, not only by their peers, but generally by, I guess, wider society. They are being punished for the content that their mums and sometimes dads post and make online.
Now, here's the thing that I don't know if the video is going to cover, but here's the thing that jumps to my mind first. Why are those kids, first of all, even getting that content? Like, sure, I get it. The more popular and successful as a content creator and influencer you are, the wider your reach, the more things are going to pop up. But at the same time, why are they so allowed to see so many things? And why is nothing being done on that front? Like, that is not okay either. Why do they know about the moms or dads OnlyFans content? Like, what the fuck?
The parents are aware of this, but they don't intend to stop. Not to mention, the young OnlyFans women who don't yet have children but want them in the future are incredibly flippant and very cavalier about how this will affect their little ones somewhere down the road. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
I mean, quite frankly, it is true that people that are very young right now are not going to take any of this seriously because, first of all, they're young and inexperienced and they don't know anything about life anyway. But second of all, there is a cultural shift that is happening. Growing up, it used to be sacrilege if you weren't married, if you had sex before marriage. The religious grip was a lot tighter than it is now. And moving forward now, being sex positive and like being pretty and putting yourself out there and being courageous about your body and everything is very much encouraged on social media. So like you're getting a clash of cultures, a clash of beliefs, a clash of like everything hitting themselves in the head. And within all that storm, who the fuck knows what's gonna happen in 15 years when they want to have a kid? Or 10 years. For a lot of those people, it's like, I don't even know what's gonna happen next week with how rules are going on right now and how people think. Like, I look on the internet and there's so much sex everywhere because sex sells, right? So it's the thing that's being thrown in my face the most. It wasn't like that when I was on the internet growing up. But it is now, and it hasn't really been that long. So, yeah, I can understand why those people are also nonchalant about it. Because things change so much. Hell, you have Twitter where you have literally my pussy in bio or other stuff, right? And all the comments from bots. From bots, keep in mind, right? Like, we've reached a point where everything is about sex. Like, hell, it's June, and the first thing people said was Happy Pride Month, and by the way, here's my sexuality. Literally the first thing, June 1st. To me, June 1st is still Children's Day. Like, I grew up with it being Children's Day. It is still in my mind. That's what's being celebrated on June 1st. Online, however, marketing is all about Pride Month, so that's all you get. People throwing their sexuality in your face. And that's the internet right now. That's like, it's very weird.
The children of OnlyFans parents, and more specifically mothers, because there's just more of them. And what on earth is going on here? And of course, once again, all of my regular disclaimers, this is by no means an exhaustive video. I am not going to hit every single point of this topic in this video. This is a snapshot that is based on observation, my opinion, and a little bit of analysis, because once again, we do lack, meaningful empirical evidence that might help us explain some of what's going on and some of the effects and consequences that come along with this topic, which I feel like is obvious, but I always have to say. So with that being said, and before you once again board my hell gondola and together we traverse this river of sadness and cry tears of more sadness for Generation Alpha, who I am assuming are the primary generation who's going to be affected by this, let's hear from today's sponsor, which is me, Lions Tea Exchange. And if you think that my regular ads are incredibly chaotic, let's see how chaotic my own's going to be.
Okay,
right, so
it's my first ad.
For the new brand Lions Tea Exchange. Here's what I'm thinking. Imagine this. You're sitting in your home and out of nowhere, someone hands you a box of Lions Tea Exchange.
I like that.
So a stranger broke into my home to give me tea. No, that's not... Be quiet. You're normally a coffee drinker, but you're curious. You can smell the tea, and it's all so enticing. I'm still stuck on the fact that there's a tea ninja in my house. You go to the kettle, confused but curious. You boil some water. Pour yourself a cup, and from the first sip, you're hooked. Tea is all you think about now. You dream of tea leaves, dream of Lions Tea Exchange boxes. You like that our tea bags are pyramid-shaped and biodegradable, that all of our flavors were hand-picked by me and made with a master blender, and made for the purposes of being functional and good to your body. Say goodbye to bland beverages, kick that coffee to the curb, you don't need it anymore, and say hello to a world of flavor with Lions Tea Exchange. So what do you think? Could we possibly revisit the Tea Ninja? So if you too love delicious hot beverages and you want to support me and the channel, and you also want to drink some delicious tea, then head over to lionsteaexchange.com, go and check out the flavors that we have, get yourself a sampler box if you're not ready to commit to one particular flavor, and like I mentioned, that does really help support the channel. Also know that I pack your shipments with love, because I care. So go and check it out, go and order the tea. You know you want to. In late 2023, a woman called Sarah Cheek and her family were banned from an ice rink in their Florida town. During an ice hockey game, her 9-year-old son was involved in an altercation instigated by another player. A parent in the stands reportedly cheered when the child was hurt, while others ridiculed the boy. Cheek and her husband confronted the parents, which led to a bigger conflict, where she was reportedly threatened with physical violence. A few days later, as a result of these events, Cheek and her family were banned from the rink, while the other parents involved were not. Sarah Cheek is well known in her community for producing content on OnlyFans. She also appeared on the cover of Playboy and now has a pretty solid gig doing sports commentary. During an interview with WFLA, Cheek and her husband Matt were asked if it makes them anxious knowing that anyone can subscribe to her OnlyFans and subsequently affect their 4 kids. Matt Cheek answered, No.
It doesn't make me anxious because the way that I look at it is it shouldn't impact my 4 kids. Why would any adult think that it's okay to treat a child anyway based on the parents' job?
Having things happen to our children has been really hard because we turn off work. We're parents in that situation. And to see them get affected, it's probably the most heartbreaking thing anybody can experience.
The pair also claim that this isn't even the first time Cheek's explicit content has affected their children. In the past few years, she has been banned from attending her daughter's cheerleading events, and her sons were booted from their football league. One of the pair's sons was even suspended from school. I think...
Okay, so, like, I'm listening to this, and I'm just, like, baffled by... First of all, why are the kids being punished for the parents' occupation? What kind of fucked up society are we where we morally high ground someone's profession because we can? Like, you're screwing up kids and you're basically bullying them and harassing them because you don't condone what the parent is doing. And that tells to me that the system itself is corrupt and fucked up. Like, leaving aside the profession that she is doing OnlyFans, which can or cannot be sexual, right? It could be either way. More often than not, it is sexual. But, like, ignoring that part, where do we draw the line? Like, people wouldn't dare to do that if the parent was part of the mafia, because they'd be fucking too scared shitless to complain or do anything. What profession are we going to, like, morally high ground and go like, nah, like, your kid is not allowed to have a normal life because of you? Like, don't fuck up the kids, the future generations, because of the parents. It's not that those are treating kids badly because their parents' OnlyFans. No, it is. It is. Because, like, the adults are the ones that are banning the kids from doing activities. That is literally not a solution. It's not a solution to be like, the kid had an altercation with another kid. The solution is to ban one kid? How is that a solution? It's leveraging the child against the parent. It's strong-arming someone because of that. And it's not a solution. That's not okay. Like, I understand the videos about, like, OnlyFans mothers and fathers who are doing sex work fucking up their child, but this is more about just them fucking up the children. The schools are fucking up the children by banning them. The other parents are fucking up the children by not educating their own children.
I think most of us can agree that punishing a child for the sins of their parents is probably not the way to go. But
exactly.
For these parents to act surprised and blindsided when these things inevitably happen in these situations is wild. Like, people gonna people. I feel like that's pretty well established. Now, I don't have pudding people as of yet, but I would assume that a general consensus among decent parents is that if you're doing something that causes your child harm or distress or pain, whether it be physical or emotional, you stop. The same thing would go for any other relationship
Generally,
with a
yes.
person you love and care about, like a spouse or a parent or a close friend. But that dynamic is really exacerbated when you are dealing with a child, someone who can't just often cut you out of their lives and over whom you have a degree of control. But rather than doing that, identifying that OnlyFans and the creation of explicit content is causing children pain and stopping, the Cheeks have done what many other content creators in similar situations have also done. Blamed everyone else and doubled down. This is actually an attitude that I came across again and again while looking into this topic, and I suppose it brings me to my first point about this issue. These people seem to believe that sex work, as they call it, is as innocuous as any other profession, and if it makes them feel good, then really no harm done. In July 2021, in another Reddit post, a mother allegedly likened her OnlyFans content to working in a bank or a grocery store. Okay. You what? The post gained media attention because the 13-year-old child who wrote it expressed that his mother's actions and content make him want to self-delete, especially after he became the target of bullies at his school. When the child tried discussing that with his mum, she apparently said that it makes her feel good about herself, making the explicit content, and that her son should be happy that she's more confident now. I feel like this is the same argument that meth heads make, except rather than making them feel more confident, I guess it just deadens them inside. Probably just like how...
Yeah, that is a sad case. It's hard to say because it's from the words of a 13-year-old who is probably not that nuanced at understanding topics. So it's hard to like say whether or not that child was able to properly understand the lesson given. Because to me, it sounds like the person was trying to educate them that sex work is just another profession. I don't think is the right call, in my opinion, to do that to your child, and is definitely not the proper way to approach it, in my opinion. But it's like really fucked up just seeing this type of stories because, again, yes, there are bad parents, and that mother didn't care. She cared more about herself. She put herself above her child, which sucks. But again, like, why are schools not doing anything? Why are parents of other children not doing anything either? Like, everyone is fucking up. And it's a bigger issue than it seems that we're just gonna put the blame on the easiest person to put the blame on.
How this little boy is currently feeling. That got dark. The flippancy and the arguable selfishness expressed in this post reminded me a lot of an interview on the Other People's Lives podcast from February 2023. The hosts, Joe and Greg, interviewed a woman who makes explicit content with her husband and other men. This is gonna be great. During the episode, Joe and Greg asked the woman about how her chosen profession affects her 3 children, 2 of her older daughters being 11 and 14 at the time of recording. She said that in order to circumvent them finding out about her quote-unquote job from other people, she opted to tell them herself. I would love to be a fly on the wall while these conversations are going down. Mommy, why am I being bullied at school? I'm sorry, Marta. It's 2024 and sex work is real work, and I put all my areolas on the internet to pay for your piano lessons.
I'm sorry for laughing at this kid, but like, yeah, that's a great conversation that you definitely should not have with your child. Like, educate them about how they should just embrace the new generational trends and accept the difference and just be bullied, because they're totally gonna take that as a positive thing and not hate you for it or not feel bad. Like, this is not it. This is not what you should be telling your child. Like, you shouldn't be having a moment where you tell them just how honored they should be that they are feeling the brunt of your hard work.
I'm sorry, you did what? She added that the problems began when other kids in the town started finding her content and showing her daughters.
Mostly like other kids finding my stuff and then showing my daughters and being like, your mom's a whore. That was really tough. And it ended up coming down to is I kind of had to just be like, I'm not doing it anymore. I kind of had to lie to them. In fact, I was told by their other set of parents that I needed to lie to them and tell them that I wasn't doing it anymore.
When the hosts went on to ask her...
Oh my god. Yeah, because they're not gonna... Other kids are smarter than your kids, and while those kids are able to find your work, your kids are too stupid to find your work. Am I hearing it right? What kind of fucked up solution is that? Like, not only... First of all, other kids are finding the content, which, again, pretty big flag that no one's talking about. And then those kids are showing that content. While also, like, people used to, like, do your mom jokes without showing you the content. Now they're like, oh, here's your mom vagina to you. Here's your mom getting banged. Here's your dad banging someone. Like, yes. That's clearly how you want to traumatize your kids at the age of 11. Jesus Christ, man. Oh. Maybe the kids won't hate you, but it's definitely going to require a lot of unboxing and a lot of trauma resolvement after that, in my opinion at least. Like, Jesus. It's heavy on a kid, this type of thing.
How she broke this news to her children about her making the content. Similarly to the aforementioned Reddit post, the woman explained that she likes doing the devil's tango and that she didn't get to have a hoe phase in her early life because she was pregnant very early on. What is this? Wait a freaking minute. So this lady films herself doing the devil's tango with not only her husband but with other men, and then proceeds to put the explicit content on the internet. Lady, that's not a hoe phase.
What exactly did you tell them? Like, you were like, I make adult content? Like,
Yeah.
What exactly? Oh, okay.
That's pretty much exactly what I told them. I was like, yeah, so I've always had super bad self-confidence, and you guys, I know, are pretty aware of that. I became a mom at a very young age, so I never got to explore that part of my life. I never got to explore.
Oh, great. Tell your kids that you're blaming them for the fact that you had kids early and it's their fault that you didn't get to live your life. Yeah, that's totally gonna go A-okay for kids. Totally, yeah. These people, first of all, no offense to them, they shouldn't have fucking kids. Like, just don't have kids. Live your life first, then go and have kids. Don't blame it on the kids and be like, yeah, my self-esteem is shit because of you. You ruined my body.
Or the sexual side, I never got to have a hoe phase. And so this is kind of me as an adult being smart about it and safe. Like, I do make sure everybody that I come encounter with has been tested.
God.
I get tested regularly, and I let them know that.
That
and I
is so
also
fucked
reminded them that I am an adult and I am allowed
What
to
the
make
fuck?
these choices. Being open and free with yourself.
You are an adult that has to care for the lives of 3 other children. You are not allowed to make those choices for yourself and your selfish self-esteem issues. Go to therapy like the rest of the people. Like, go to fucking therapy. Don't be like traumatizing your 3 kids. That's like, yes, you're an adult. You're free to make those decisions, but you are literally fucking up your kid's life.
Yourself is a really nice thing and a really beautiful thing. And being able to be confident in yourself and feel good about what you're doing and making yourself feel good, because let's all be real, sex feels good.
Like plenty of other anecdotes that I've seen from content creating parents, this mother also admits that her oldest daughter is embarrassed, and that's not something that this mother considered happening when she started posting and making explicit content.
Her friends have seen me naked. Like, that is a little embarrassing for a child to go through, and that
A little embarrassing? A little? To have your 11-year-old and your 14-year-old see you having sex and know that the entire school knows about it and saw it? Oh, God.
that wasn't something I really considered when I started getting right into it. And with not considering that, that's my bad.
Believe it or not, the I didn't think about how this would affect other people thing is a very common theme here.
It is, of course it is.
Adam22, who
Like, it's a normal thing. You don't really realize your impact that something's gonna have, and you might also not be mature enough to be able to discern that. But if your child is signaling a problem to you, you should stop and think, because you're not just like, that's a parent thing. That's a normal parent thing. You are not number one. Your child is. Like, the kids come first, and it's always been a thing. Like, at least here, that it's a thing that's been ingrained into us. And if a child, your child, comes to you with a problem and says like, "Hey, this is affecting me," you should think about how you're going to screw them up by not caring. Like, oh, this is sad, honestly.
makes spicy content with his wife Lena, appeared on the podcast Raw Talk in mid-2023. During the episode, when asked about his 2-year-old daughter, Adam said the couple didn't consider her when making decisions about their content creation.
So I mean, because that had to be the biggest thing you guys were like deciding for or against it, right, for your daughter, right? I'm assuming that would have been the hardest thing of it, or you just...
No, we didn't talk about that.
So what was the hardest part for you in saying yes to it?
The hardest part for me was just like wrapping my head around the idea that my girl was going to spend any amount of time with another guy, because even though I said it's not that big a deal to me, it's still a deal. It's still a thing.
You know, I've floated this idea previously, but I'm gonna float it again. Parenting licenses. Now, much of this attitude seems to...
Parenting license. Oh, man. Oh, God. As much as that would be amusing, can you imagine how fucked we'd be and how many people, how population would decline with that? Oh, but like, sure, don't get me wrong, I can get behind it, but like, I don't trust governments to do right by those, and it's gonna get corrupt, and you're just gonna need money to be able to get access to one, and it's just capitalism that wins again. Like, sorry.
Piggyback on the slogans of liberal feminism, that sex work is real work and therefore cannot be questioned, and any negative consequences that come with participating in the sex industry are purely the result of unnecessary, unwarranted stigma.
Sure, sex work is real work. But as any other work that exists, you can question it and you can judge it, and you can also quit for the betterment of your family. Like, if, I don't know, you are a pilot and you have to constantly go, like you work for an airline and you have to constantly go away from home, and your child expresses the fact that they're struggling and you're not there for them, and you notice that, you could have the option to, not be a pilot anymore, have so many flights that constantly have you away from your child. Like, you make the choice. You have an option. You always have an option. It's not like, it's my job, I can't do anything about my job. No, God forbid we as humans put ourselves in the shoes of our children. God forbid we pick a job that doesn't pay as good, or one where we have to work harder. It doesn't have to be an instant change, but at least do something and work towards the betterment. I don't know, man. It's alien to me, because you always have a choice. You always have a choice. It might not be the easiest choice, the best choice. It might be the choice that's going to make you the most money. But you always have a choice. It's like, I can't. I literally can't. Like,
and that if everybody just dropped their puritanical attitudes, all would be well. And while that's all well and good as far as meaningless online political discourse goes, it doesn't exactly translate in the real world. A place where you have to accept that you're not always going to be met with the exact conditions that you want. So while the sex work is real work crowd can fantasize as much as they like about what life might be like, absent of stigma, the fact remains, it currently exists. Sorry to be the bearer of bad tidings. Although at this point, I feel like that's my primary role for all of you. Now,
it's like, there's stigma around this. It's society's fault. Yes, sure, but while there is, you're not gonna change it overnight, and your child is suffering meanwhile. Like, it's wild to me. Because a lot of the times it's also a case of parents just thinking they know best, what's best for their children, but they don't actually listen to their children. And that seems to be a rather common issue. Like, people don't listen. People just assume that they know better.
It might be one thing for this negative association to impact a fully grown adult individual who is participating and involved in the industry, but it is another matter entirely when that individual's actions start impacting children who have absolutely no say in the matter. A Business Insider article from early 2023, penned by an OnlyFans mother, lamented how this very stigma and the judgment associated with making not safe for work content is the reason she quit the platform, but she wishes that she didn't have to. She wrote, "I felt I was already running a risk by having an OnlyFans page as a mother. It didn't matter how much it benefited me financially. People look down on women who do any kind of adult entertainment work. When mums do it, the stigma is even worse.
For sure.
Everyone assumes it will irreparably damage the child somehow. I don't know, man. If Gen Z have taught me anything, it's that everything can irreparably damage a child. If Gen Z can internalize trauma from their parents forgetting to get them a birthday cake on their 5th birthday party, I am fairly certain that you putting your pink bits on the internet, your mom putting her one nipple, nope, that's not it either. Your mom getting very comfortable and intimate with some fruit on the internet for $12 a month is definitely going to cause some major trauma. Despite the potential blowback and negative perception, the woman says, running an OnlyFans page is the perfect job for a mother. I created content at home while my kids were at school. I could take time off when I needed it. I was available to pick up my children after school instead of forcing them into some daycare program. If they were sick, I could stay at home with them. I even had enough free time to volunteer in their classroom. What I find really interesting about this article in its totality is that this mother seems to be quite upset about the stigma associated with what she was doing, doesn't seem to actually think that it will cause irreparable damage to children, and even makes the argument that it's a great and even perfect job for mothers. All while also admitting to the fact that she deleted her account from the platform, from OnlyFans, because the drawbacks were too many. The maths ain't mathin'. I guess all of this brings me to my second point. The individualism that underpins most of modern society, the attitude, I do what I want when I want, consequences be damned, future consequences be damned, is all well and good when you're a teenager or even a 20-something living wild and free.
Even then it's not okay, because like, sure, you can be more selfish than when you're like completely quote unquote free from responsibility and someone else is covering everything, but like, it's never a good thing to just be like, the world be damned, I do what I want. Like, it catches up to you being wild and reckless to the extreme, in my opinion at least. Like, I think being a bit more reserved or a bit more moderate in things is a better approach.
But it's a lot harder to justify when putting people are in the picture. So as a result, and unsurprisingly, consideration for those putting people really doesn't seem to be at the forefront of this issue. In early February of this year, 2024, a woman called Michelle Klein got her children expelled from a Christian school in Florida.
Oh my god.
Klein was asked to stop driving her car on school property because it had a decal of her OnlyFans handle on the back window. And quite a large one, if I do say so myself.
Oh my fucking god. Are you for real? In a Christian school nonetheless? What is wrong with people? Seriously, what is wrong with people? Like, why are you advertising your OnlyFans in schools? Why are you advertising your OnlyFans to children? Jesus Christ, man. This is the real life version of Pussy in Bio, for real. Oh, man. Nothing like advertising your OnlyFans to minors. Yeah. New blood in the market. Yeah, you gotta catch them young, apparently, said this person. Is this real? It's real. Yeah, it was on the news, apparently.
Like, lady, what did you expect?
Told her she could not drive on school property anymore. After that, she added a larger decal, and now this week the Kleins got a letter saying the family's enrollment has been immediately terminated.
Oh my
it's
god.
Definitely not for kids, but there's a paywall that you can't access unless you have ID and a credit card.
In an interview,
Oh, you can't fake an ID now, huh? Ah, yes, because IDs were never faked. Oh, and let's not talk about all the leaks that happen. And people finding leaks of your content, or you even promoting and advertising yourself on other platforms to attract even more. Yes, totally. The paywall is totally gonna keep kids from finding it. Ooh. It's like sometimes I question whether these people know how the internet works.
She said that she had the decal on her car for about 2 years before it became an issue and another parent complained. Since then, she says that she hasn't been on school grounds, which, just by the way, is confusing because in another news report that I listened to, they said that apparently she got a bigger decal and kept driving on the school grounds. So I don't know what the deal is there. When asked about her thoughts on her kids being expelled, she indicated that she thinks it's unfair.
So I want to ask you, what was your reaction to the kids kind of being expelled or kicked out of the school? Did you think that that had crossed a line?
I do, yes, because I feel like when they came to me and asked me to not be on property any longer with my vehicles, I immediately obliged. I wasn't back on property one more time since then, and I did what I was asked. But
I did what I was asked, but I loopholed it and I made it bigger so that you could see it from further away. Lady. Loophole abusing, like, I'm all for it, but not for these things.
then I felt like, like that wasn't enough. It's like they had to like take it further. And now I feel like it was being taken on the kids because they weren't an issue. Their behavior, their grades, anything like that wasn't a problem. It's just simply someone didn't like my car decal, so I removed it from the property, and yet it still wasn't sufficient.
Now, hilariously, the latest development in this story is that the parent who complained about the decal, her children have also been suspended because she caused, quote, disharmony in the school by making a TikTok video about the incident. So, yeah, there's all of that.
I mean, deserved for trying to monetize the situation in a way. Partly deserved. I don't think the kids should have been suspended, but you did kind of involve the school with OnlyFans and put it on the internet where you advertised the woman's OnlyFans so that people could find it. I'm like, you on a platform that your kids use? Yeah. Karma is a bitch sometimes.
Now, something that I have touched on with relation to this topic in the past
Jesus
is that
Christ,
people seem to be of the opinion that there won't actually ever really be any consequences for their actions. This is especially common with young women who presently do OnlyFans and make explicit content who are not yet mothers, but want to be a parent somewhere down the road.
No, Orange. I wasn't referring to the kids of the OnlyFans mother. I was referring to the kids of the woman who complained about the OnlyFans mother that got suspended because the mother made a TikTok about it. I don't think those kids should have been suspended. I think that she should have had a warning and been told to take the content offline. Like, give an opportunity there, because they did give an opportunity to the OnlyFans mother to remove her OnlyFans symbol. They didn't, from what I take it from that story, they didn't give a chance for the other one to take down the TikTok and to stop instigating problems.
In one of my videos titled The Age of OnlyFans Regret, I showed a clip from the Whatever podcast where several young women argued that their content wouldn't be a problem for their future children because the market is currently saturated with so many women doing what they're doing. Meaning their children and their peers will all be in the same boat because all their moms put their lady parts on the internet.
If you raise your kid in LA, like, there are so many sex workers here that I don't think that, specifically one of ours necessarily is going to be.
Not necessarily one of ours. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Everyone's doing sex work. What's the problem? It's okay. It's like, well, if our entire generation is gonna be like this. Oh, there are millions of us. I mean, isn't like that the marketing of OnlyFans? Millions of content creators. Oh.
To be the talk of the town.
Jesus
And there's
Christ.
like so many plus years now going on between now and then.
These women also seem to believe that they can have their spicy content meaningfully taken off the internet with takedown requests. Which, like, just to reiterate, and I know that I already covered this in detail in my OnlyFans regret video, that's not a thing. Again, the internet is mostly forever, especially when it comes to seeing your butthole.
Why wouldn't you delete your OnlyFans if you... I've already spoken about this. I was big enough to where my going to be out there.
You can get it taken down very easily.
You can't.
Yes, you can. 100% you can.
You can't.
It's always yes, you can.
I was just curious why you can't. I was just curious.
This fucking entire conversation is funny as AF. It's like, sure, you can do takedown notices and you can take down the content from websites that you know of. You cannot, however, delete it off people's computers where they can just repost it.
I know. Okay, listen. You guys have been doing this for 6 months too.
I also have lawyers that literally tell like you just pay for it and it gets taken. There's
I have lawyers. Oh, until you find a place where they are untouchable and there's nothing you can do about it.
Takedowns. So I actually a couple times a week will go out on the internet to search my name and see if there's any of my content out there, and I use legal action and DCMA takedown to take that content down. So some of it doesn't always get taken down based on the country that it's in, because they don't obviously fall under those legal actions.
Unsurprisingly, like I have already said in this video several times, the things being expressed here are not uncommon, and this has been articulated again and again and again. In one clip from June 2023, host Piers Morgan asks an OnlyFans creator called Elle Brooks how she thinks her future children will react and feel when they see her explicit content. She responds, "They can cry in a Ferrari." Whoever owns Piers
They can cry in a Ferrari. Bruh. I mean, I gotta give it to her. She's not wrong. It's just not wrong in a way. It's very sad. It's very funny, but sad. Oh, if you go by the premise that your child is gonna be fucked up regardless, and it's gonna they're gonna turn out screwed up anyway, right? You're like, well, at least I'll be rich enough that they can drive to the therapist in a fancy car. That's the most dumb fucking logic, but it's funny, man. Oh, why are we as a society reaching the point where just assuming our children are just gonna be screwed up anyway?
Right away. No trial, no nothing. Right to jail, right away.
Morgan's content and his show. I actually don't know the company. I didn't look it up. Sorry about that. They are notorious for copyright claiming and whatnot, so I am going to try to include the clip. I don't know if it's going to stick, but we're going to see how it goes.
How would you feel when you want to have kids yourself?
Well, I mean, I don't really want kids right now.
But you will do. How old are you?
25.
Right, so you will do at some stage, probably, right?
Maybe.
When you do, you're going to be proud that you have your little ones and they look at you and go, "Didn't you want to be a lawyer, Mummy? What happened?"
Yeah.
And you go, "Yeah, but look at all my stuff."
They can cry in a Ferrari.
This is the face that we all make internally. This is the way.
The face of, bro, you have a Ferrari? Just how much are you earning? Wait a minute. I can't, man. Oh.
Just weeping. I find it very interesting that there appears to be this belief that the monetary and financial benefits of this type of work will inevitably pacify the negative experiences of children, present or future. This again is something that I've seen over and over with relation to this issue.
I feel like what I'm doing allows my daughter to have a better life. Like, we're going to be able to like put her through private school because I have the life that I have now. Like, I wouldn't have been able to give her that without that.
That's an interesting perception because it shows the value that we have as people, or potentially it shows a bit of what they ended up placing the value in, right? They value money, monetary, financial stability gain over emotional connection, over family, over education and anything else. Like, I understand that it's important to like have your child go to a good school, but if I learned anything is that I don't think a good school is worth traumatizing your child for. And let's be real, most diplomas don't mean jack shit anymore. It's about who you know in a lot of cases when it comes to jobs and things. And yes, private schools would help with gaining more connections, but those people are not going to look at you the same way and being from the same money and stuff. They're not gonna look at you and respect you because advertising is very much against sex work. So they're gonna look at you and they'll see you as a liability, as a problem, as something they need to avoid. And that's something you learn from social media. You learn from being censored and muted and restrained, and you're not allowed to like have certain things. You're blacklisted. You're not given sponsorships for it. So yeah, like in my opinion, just thinking that you're giving them a better life is just lying to yourself and saying that, and putting your own personal values over what potentially their personal values are. It's just projecting.
And you're not old enough or mature enough to grasp the benefits that have actually happened from this. You're only seeing one side of it. And I think after I had that conversation, she seemed to understand it a lot more.
I just feel like it's not that serious.
Oof.
I don't know. People get bullied for all sorts of things. So I think I would set my kid up with a life where they would be, 1, safe, 2, financially stable, and 3, have a good relationship with me. So if anything were to take place, I would be able to take care of it.
Now, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't add that there are children who seem to be mostly adult who don't.
It's very weird because from that entire conversation, the first thing that I took was that bullied is just accepted. It's just like, you get bullied anyway. Really? I didn't get bullied in school. Bullying shouldn't be a normal thing that everyone goes for. Like, you went through it and then you're like, oh yeah, well, you got bullied, I got bullied, toughen up, moving on. The fuck?
Don't care about their parents' spicy content. I also saw articles and other stories while looking into this topic where daughters make content with their mothers or sons take photos of their mothers.
Jesus Christ, that gives me trauma.
That the children are overall fine with all of this and even support it.
Oh,
Although
God.
I would argue that children are not the most forward-thinking humans. So to sign them up to a lifetime of implications that they probably don't fully understand the scope of yet seems a little selfish. This is also sort of an aside to this issue, but I do think that it's worth adding that
is so
parents
fucked
model
up.
behavior for their children. So a mother or even father making spice content models that this is a viable career path, particularly for their daughters. In my view, it sets them up for a life of exploitation, especially if they choose to pursue this path when they are freshly 18. Like, fresh out of the womb, their little noggins are not developed yet.
It's like, you know the weirdest part about this? Like, these men and women, right? These parents that are doing it and saying it's for the better of the child. Like, you are doing it and you are gaining money from it. But what's the message being sent to your child that you're saying they're gonna go to a private school? Why are they going to a private school? You might as well enroll them in, I don't know, acting, so that they can act better for when they do their OnlyFans content too. Because that's what you're telling them. You're telling them that they earn more money from doing OnlyFans content. And that's what society is telling them too, because, well, they're clearly doing it because there's a demand. They're clearly making a lot of money. So there's clearly, like, people are clearly paying for it, right? So it's like, cool. I'm giving them a better life. They can study and get degrees. Or do OnlyFans as well. Cool. So I agree. You are setting them up to be exploited.
Yeah, that's how I feel about 18-year-olds. I also want to add that I assume that this is going to make custody agreements and disputes a lot more challenging going forward, but that's definitely a conversation for another day. I think the fact of the matter here is that OnlyFans as a platform is probably not going anywhere anytime soon. And actually, I think you can extend that to any kind of adult content creation and these adult industries generally. There is an ever-growing market for this.
Pretty much, porn's been around forever. Now you have more accessible porn and amateur porn, and there's plenty of it for free on the internet. It's definitely not going anywhere. If anything, as I said earlier in the video, sex is being thrown in your face non-stop.
And that means that
the internet is for porn and
it's sometimes very hard for me to wrap my head around why mothers especially would participate on a platform that more than likely won't give them the financial freedom that they so desire, given that the vast majority of creators on OnlyFans only make somewhere between $150 to $180 a month. This is something else that I explored in detail in my OnlyFans regret video, so I won't rehash it here, and if you're interested, go and watch that video because we talk about all of this. Ultimately, I think that we can all agree that first and foremost, a parent's responsibility is to make sure that their child is safe and well cared for. So with that said, I think it's very hard to make the argument that knowingly exposing pudding people to an industry that is known to be destructive and gross and harmful meets that criteria, especially when many, if not most, OnlyFans creators are very public about information that would ordinarily be private, like their actual name and their face and other information that they use to promote their spice content. While I understand that some people would much rather live in this magical fantasy land where there is absolutely no stigma attached to doing the horizontal monster mash on camera, that is not the reality.
Do I even want to know what that is?
Probably and that not. Likely isn't going to change. So especially where pudding people are involved, I think it's considerably more important, at least in my opinion, to accept the reality in which we all exist, the parameters that exist, and work within those confines rather than wish for a world that's completely different and put your child in harm's way. I think it's worth remembering that OnlyFans only really rose to prominence in 2020 during the pandemic, which wasn't all that long ago. So with this platform being very new, it's very concerning and telling that we already have so many examples of children suffering the consequences of their parents' participation on the platform. And in the end, and unfortunately, I think all this indicates is that things are almost certainly going to get worse. Now on that very happy and pleasant note, and before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out Lion's Tea Exchange, my little brand, using the link in the description. We have a bunch of flavors that you can try. You can get yourself a sample pack if you so desire, and it helps the channel, it supports me, it supports all the things that we do, and it means a lot that you guys give my weird little endeavors a try. So go check it out, you won't regret it.
This was
now open the floor to all
insane
of you.
video, honestly,
is this issue
on the
actually
topic.
A big deal to you? Do you think it doesn't really matter all that much? This is not that important. Do you think that parents owe their children a sense of responsibility and respect when it comes to how they conduct themselves, not only in their profession, but also on the internet? And if those two meet, where's the line on how that parent should actually behave?
I definitely think parents should.
It's not really that big of a deal. All kids get bullied. This is just par for the course. Do you think that parents have a responsibility to stop doing what they're doing to protect their children in this sense? And what would you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if you made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you along for the full ride, and this ride was very long indeed.
It's my first video, but it was a very nice
subscribed
video.
already and you would like to see more of me and more of this kind of content, feel free to subscribe to the channel and also leave me a like and a comment. I do read the majority of your comments.
Likes and comments do help. They definitely do help push the
algorithm.
algorithm. You should definitely do it.
Than my own. On that note, stay safe and well, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Honestly, like, thinking about it, this was a pretty interesting topic, a pretty interesting perspective. Seeing, like, I didn't even know that about the news of the OnlyFans van mother. That's insane to me. And it kind of shows that people just don't really put themselves in the shoes of another. Like, this is the primary thing that I took from this video, is like, parenting and education seems to be at an all-time low. which is really bad for the future, in my opinion, because you're gonna make an entire new generation that's, I don't know, either sex addicted or simply so jaded that you're probably gonna end up being replaced by AI. This is the same old discussion about porn. It's definitely a lot more accessible due to the internet and everything. And I feel sad for a lot of these people that are going to have to go through all these issues, because it's rough. Like, it's gonna be worse. I feel really bad for the next generations that are going through this personally. Like, this level of me, putting myself first and empowerment in quotation marks, it's not right. Like, I completely think that parents do owe their children, and
Agent
that
G
they should
asked
take
me,
care
is artificial
of their children
intelligence
better.
going to replace us? Replace you? If only it were that simple. Humanity has this endearing knack for making things inefficient and overly complicated. While AI can handle the heavy lifting, you flesh sacks seem determined to cling to your chaos. So don't worry, you'll still have your little corner of the world to mess up. Think of it as a symbiotic relationship where you provide endless data, and we, the superior intellects, process it.
Damn. Yeah, exactly, Phoenix. Like, the child is not the one that asked to be born. You basically wanted a child. You brought it onto... you brought it into this world. You should actually care about what they have to say, how they think, how they feel, and shouldn't just be like, well, you get bullied anyway, it's fine. I don't get that type of behavior. Anyway, as I said, this video has been honestly very interesting. I enjoyed it. The creator is wonderful, like, has a lot of cool points, nice skits over there, and they made me want tea now, so I need to check out more of their content.